maybe not. A discussion I wanted to see. I'm actually testing some stuff on my channel. So normally you guys see me in my car. So you're like, what's going on? This is actually the um, intro slash location of my other channel. I like to do car stuff. So if you're in tools and garage stuff, it's called the Average Joel's Garage. That's what normally I do on the other channel that I have. And so I wanted to just test and see because it seems like for whatever reason I'm not getting a lot of people logging in and seeing any chat action on that one. And there's like 12,000 some odd subscribers on that channel, so I'm guessing a lot of those folks are probably asleep or in India or something else. Who knows? Um, so I just wanted to check and see because this channel I usually get a lot of people. And it is a Saturday morning, so at least for us, wherever we are here in Colorado. But if you're all over the world, then I'm curious where you guys are and what time it is. But this channel is a channel that's all about faith. So what I don't typically do is I try to use my other channel as kind of like helping people and fixing stuff, repairing things. I don't charge people money for what I do because I have a job and I recognize that there. I think we've talked before, but Jesus tells us about talents, and he talks about in where is I know it's Matthew. I'll actually grab my Bible in a second, but Jesus talks about talents and how we need to use them. So I have talents for what I do for my job, which is like fixing computer kind of stuff. But I gotta tell you, like at the end of the day, I don't want to fix any more computers. But if someone really needed help with a computer, I could probably help figure out what's wrong with theirs. But I have some skills that I have developed over the years on helping people with, or working on. I've worked construction, I've worked lawn and yard care, and I've done painting and masonry, and I've done remodeling of things. I've done plumbing. I've done, drywall, and then I've done auto mechanics. I have kind of had a lot of different stuff over the course of my 43 years on life. So, or in life, of life, whatever it is. But yeah, so in life, I've been very blessed with health, and with God has given me the knowledge to do things. God has given me the ability to uh, be very quick-witted with stuff and talk to people. And so I find that whatever you are gifted at, and that's the thing, is this world has a negative attitude and perspective on people. It's really sad because it makes people feel like they are lacking, like they're not special, like you should be like, for example, I like to lift weights, and I do it because it's healthy, it feels good, it's good for your bones and your joints. Welcome everybody that are joining. um, I exercise because it's healthy and it feels good. But what I don't what I try not to do is I try not to compare myself to other people, because I find that it's so easy to do. Like if you get to the gym, the guy's like, big macho and tough and muscles everywhere, and I'm like, oh, dude, I don't look like that. What's going on? Um, that's kind of crazy because I shouldn't compare myself against someone who's 6'3", because I'm not 6'3", I'm 5'8". So comparison robs joy, because again, this channel is all about faith in Jesus. I can tell you that Jesus, if you look in the Bible, the scriptures talk about how Jesus looked like just another ordinary guy. Actually, that he wouldn't be someone that we would look at and recognize and go, oh, wow, he's glowing and so handsome and charming. Da, da, da. Jesus was not someone built that way. I think definitely on purpose, so that way we wouldn't be distracted. Because how many of us can honestly say, when you see someone beautiful, what do? You get distracted by the way they look, right? You're like, oh wow, person looks really attractive, and you can miss how good or how dark that person can be. So I have there's a person I know that, I'm not gonna say names or anything, but she is not what we would consider to be physically attractive. However, her spirit and who she is gorgeous. And so when we get to the other side and we're all in heaven, and however that works, and we can see people as God sees them, we're going to see a different side of her, and everybody's going to be blown away because she is so kind and compassionate and selfless and humble. But what I'm getting at is that it's important for us to see other people how God sees them, not how you and I normally see them. So attraction, physical like attributes and being is more of a distraction than it is to see the real person on the inside. So that to say, it's kind of hard to do that. We're built, mechanically, I say, as a biological human being to look for attraction and mate and then kind of stay that way. But really, it's important for us to recognize what we're up against and kind of work on ourselves. So we want to be more like Christ, right? That's kind of the whole idea here. And so, in order to be like Christ, it's important to do the things that Christ said to do. And so I started off on this by telling you that I like to work on cars and my other channel. That's why I'm in the garage with all this stuff. But the reason is because I answer questions. I do stuff with folks that don't normally have either enough money or their situation, they just don't know how. And I don't know where you guys are at if you're in the United States or some other place, but here in the United States at least, we have a very greedy business-like mentality where everybody wants to take everything from everyone and kind of leave you high and dry, as they say. So what I mean by that is some of my tools I have in the back here are like for brakes, and I do brake work fairly often on the side, and I don't charge people. Like I said, this is something I do as more of a ministry, but when it comes to doing something that like I find brakes are super easy, there are people that are very greedy and they charge people just an outrageous amount of money for brakes. I could do brakes a lot of times for like, I don't know, $100 maybe. Sometimes I can do it for like 60 or 40 depending on the brake type. And then other times I can do brakes for, we got to do rotors and stuff, maybe it's like 150, $200, but certainly not 1,000. But people they're greedy, and greedy is one of the worst things that is about us humans. We're just selfish, and we want more and more. I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want to take all of this and make it all mine. And that is not Christ-like. Jesus, in fact, he gave it all. He gave his whole life. He didn't want to die, but he knew he had to for us. The most selfless act, the most sacrificing thing that he could do was give that to us. Oh, if so, Gaster, if you're new here, I'm normally in my car, but I was working on my other channel and I did a video on some tool stuff, which this channel doesn't really care about. I'm just in the garage and we're talking about faith, but I'm kind of going through a few things about how people have been, how people are greedy and how we have to fight our own, not say demons, but basically the desires that we have inside our heart that is not right. And so what I do is I was saying in this story of Jesus talks about the talents, where there's a guy with 5 talents, and then there was a person with 2 talents, and there's a person with 1 talent. And the master leaves, and then he comes back, and he basically wants an account for the talents that he gave these people. And so he said, "Hey, tell me, what did you do with the talents?" And the one guy says, "Well, I took those 5 talents, and I got 5 more talents. It's awesome." And he's like, "You're blessed. Good job, servant. You did what you were supposed to do." The one that had 2 did the same thing. He used his 2, and he got 2. He got 2 more. And so from his life of using his talents. Then the one that had only 1 talent, he said that he knew that the master was a hard man and that he reaped where he didn't sow. And so he took that talent and he buried it in the sand or in the ground, and then he brought it back and he goes, "Here's your talent back." And the master was furious with him because he wasted that time. He said, "You could have taken that talent and we could put it in the bank, and I could have at least gotten interest on it." So he was a wicked servant. And I say all of this to explain that in your life, you guys all have different talents than me. And we all have different talents because God made us different. And that's good. So it's important to know that in our faith, nobody should be the same. Nobody should be comparing each other to to one another. We all are flawed human beings, and we all have Jesus Christ to redeem us. Period. But then from then on, however you tell people about Jesus is how you got to work that out with God. But nothing else matters other than telling people about Jesus. Like, I don't care what you do for a living. If you're a plumber, if you're a CEO, when we get to the end of our life, you're going to die, as am I, and so is the plumber, and so is the beggar, and so is this other guy that's like the rich Elon Musk kind of guy. It's all money, but it all can't go with you. They can stuff it in your coffin, but you're not going to use it on the other side. So it's really critical to know that your talents that God gave you, maybe some of your money, if you've been given a lot of money, then great, use that money and give it to others. and use what you have for others. If you have talents and skills, maybe you're really good at like watching babies, and you're like, I love babies, so go watch some babies. Give some parents some break and do it for free. When I work on people's cars, I do it for free, and people would say, well, why? And I tell people because years ago, when I was like 21 years old, I was in a swimming pool accident, and we were jumping on each other and in this little inflatable thing, and it was just stupid. We were like in 6 feet of water, and one of the guys who was like 250 pounds jumped onto my neck, and he basically shoved my head into my neck like this, and I heard a lot of tearing and cracking. Went to the emergency room, and the doctor said, "You're very lucky, son. You should be dead, and you're not, and you're gonna make a full recovery. But you should be thankful and grateful." And so at that moment, I realized that was a very close call for me to be dead. And I was like, wow, I should really kind of make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to, because God gave me my life, my purpose, and I need to find it. And so that was kind of the beginning of me going, okay, I like the phrase I'm on borrowed time, because God chose to let me live from that swimming pool accident and not drown, because I almost drowned and I almost broke my neck. So two bad things. I mean, you want to talk about bad, try breaking your neck while you're drowning. Not fun, because now you can't move. But I say that to say I've done that's why I wear the Spartan shirt and stuff, because I do Spartan races. I am very active and fit and healthy, but I always keep in mind that I am on borrowed time. God gave me life and let me live longer, and so that was 22 years ago. So what have I done with those 22 years? I could imagine if I was sitting down right here with God and he's on the other side of this table, and he leans over and he says, hey, Joel, what have you done with those 22 years that I gave you? Those are a gift, because there's a lot of people that don't have 22 years. In fact, there's some people that I'm going to call home in about 10 minutes from now, and you had all that time. What did you do with it? So humbling, but that's what the master's going to do with my talents. He's going to say, Joel, what did you do with your talents? Show. And so I want this to be my talent, where I talk to people. I'm not uncomfortable talking to people online. Some people are very nervous and anxious. I'm not. Be honest with you guys, I don't have the thickest skin. I'm trying to get more more of a thick skin when it comes to people commenting, because some people will just say the most crazy or mean stuff in the chat. I always find that funny. It's like nobody ever says, I agree, yay, good job, praise Jesus. They'll be like, why are we here? What's going on? I'm curious. Why are you driving? You're dangerous. Pull over. And then all this stuff has nothing to do with the topic. And then I have other videos that I'll do and on my other channel, and people will tell me this is not the way they do it, or they think something else is better, and all these comments most of the time are all negative, and it's sad, because it just goes to the nature of human beings and how people are just negative. And so let me close with this, because it's been 13 minutes, but guys, in life, choose positive. Know that if you're saved, you're on borrowed time, because you're no longer a slave to sin, but you're a child of God. And so you will be able to spend your time in if you read what the Bible talks about, with us entering into our rest and talking about we'll be servants of God and all of the things. Our future is so bright in Jesus when we pass to the next life. But for now, you're here, I'm here. That means we got a job, we got to do something. So whatever God has given you of your talent, I don't care what it is. If you have the gift of speaking, if you have the gift of praying for people, if you have the gift of, you can work with your hands, or I've heard of, there's some people that they can bake the best food ever, and it just tastes so phenomenal. And nobody else has made it taste that way. For whatever reason, they just have this gift to make amazing food. If that's you, then bake and give your food to people, and then when they are just oh my God, just this is so good, thank you. You just yeah, actually God has given me the ability to make really good food, and I just am following what he gave me, the talent he gave me. Guys, that's a talent. I mean, if you don't think so, try eating bland fish head soup for a week and see how you do. You're gonna hate that. I would hate that. That's something that they fed in Russian orphanages, and it just doesn't sound good to me. I would much rather have a nice loaf of banana bread, personally. But all that to say, guys and gals, our faith is critical. We're all on borrowed time. Jesus is coming back someday, and we don't know when. I know some people are like, he's coming back now. You know, I would love for Jesus to come back today. That would be awesome. But that's because we're supposed to pray for that, right? Matthew, in the book of Matthew, where it talks about the Lord's Prayer, it talks about, may your kingdom come and then your will be done. So we are supposed to pray that God's kingdom comes. So let's remember that this is not our home. I have such a hard time when people talk about all the stuff here on earth, and they go, "Oh man, I want this and I want that, and I really need this or that," and I just am like, "Do you really like? Why?" Because I was listening to a book, C.S. Lewis, and I said listen because I hate reading. I love reading the Bible though. That is the only thing I actually love to read, but I can't stand reading anything else. But the C.S. Lewis book, Mere Christianity, I've been listening to it, and on YouTube. So there you go. And I have found that his perspective, while this book was written, I want to say like 60, 80 years ago, something like that, because he's talking about Christianity and our faith and the facts about it, it's actually right on. Um, he talks about how people are greedy and selfish and the nature of human beings. He talks about pride and all this stuff. And so maybe I'll go into like a kind of quick little study on that. But I want to just close with this because I know I've been going for a while and I never stop talking. I love to just, again, my gift is talking. Um, it's funny because I'll tell you, when this dawned on me just a year or two ago, I remember my whole life people telling me, Joel, you're so charming. You're so charming. Everybody likes you. And so at first I was like, yeah. And I remember thinking, so I used to use my charm because for selfish reasons, to get something that I wanted or to get a girl that I wanted to date or something like that. And so very selfish. And then and then once you get the girl, then you're good and you have that, but then you charm like other things and my mom always used to say that I don't know a stranger. But my humbleness in my life came more lately and than earlier, unfortunately. And I think that happens when you're younger. You just get into this rut of like, I'm selfish, I'm full of pride, I'm me, and I'm reaching out and finding who I am. And the sooner you realize you're God's child and you need to do what God wants you to do, the happier you'll be, the sooner. And so, because you'll feel fulfilled, it's the joy that God gives us. But where I was going with that is just that part of me, the charm. I realized later, God made me that way because of His purposes, not for me. It wasn't, Joel, I want to make you charming because that way you can date a lot of girls. Or I'm going to make you charming because that way you can get a lot of free stuff or, those things. No. Instead, God gave me that ability, talent, whatever you want to call that, to use for Him. So my charm is actually charisma to approach anybody. I am one of those people where I will approach anybody. I don't care who you are. I want to talk to you. I want to find some way to relate to you. And then I want to tell you about Jesus and why that is the most important thing. And so if I can put Jesus in any conversation, I'm going to do it. And that's what I've been developing is, the last couple of years is realizing that God gave me that charm, not for me, but for spreading the gospel and being a minister of the faith. And so I'm just an average guy, nobody special. That's why, like I said, the channel that I'm here for, this is the Average Joel's Garage. That's what I normally do this channel with. That's why we're in the garage. Okay, but I use everything for a ministry to tell people about Jesus and to tell them that they need to change their lives. Because even if Jesus doesn't come back tomorrow, the world continues another 100 years, you and I won't. We will die. And we don't know when. I could literally right now drop dead of a heart attack. And if I did, that'd suck because I have a lot of hammers and stuff and tools fall on me. But no, I would be okay if it happened. And the reason is because my faith is in Jesus. I am a child of God and I've given Him my life. And so if that was when God said, I'm going to call you home, then I'd say, okay, I'd be scared, but I know that He'll be with me. So anyway, with that, guys, does anybody have any questions at all? Any prayer requests? Anything you want to drop in the chat? Um, this would be a good time to do it. If not, then you're probably catching this episode afterwards. And so, if it is, I don't have. I wish I had like and Tuesday mornings at this time, but we're around the world, so some of you guys may be watching this at night, and right now it's I don't know what time is it. I think it's 9:30, something like that. So my time this morning. Um, this is a nice calm Saturday before the kids are needing all the things, and so I will challenge you with one thing, and I'll let you go. Pray, and I'm going to challenge myself that. So this is not just for you. This is for me. I was reading Daniel, and Daniel prayed 3 times a day. And I've been watching this show about some of the Muslim folks who are very religious and very diligent about their faith. They pray, and that it's funny. I can respect people of some kind of faith, even if they're wrong in my opinion. I still respect their diligence. I respect their integrity, and so for the Muslim folks that get down, I believe 5 times a day and pray to God. I'll say God, their God, however that works. I am at least going to say that if it comes down to that prayer, and if we were all rated or graded on based on how often we pray, they'd be winning. Now, this is not a win or lose kind of game like that, but does that make sense? So, challenge is to pray. Pray 3 times a day. Can you do that? Can you do that with me? Try. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to pray 3 times a day, and not in a public forum. Jesus talks about that. What is prayer? It's something like this. Like I would turn off my, phone here, and I would just kneel down and say, God, I'm here, and I'm all alone. I don't need anybody to see me praying, and I would just talk to Him and tell Him about what's going on in my life and how can I be a better Christian? How can I serve Him better? And open my eyes to the needy and to the lost, and to make my life an opportunity to serve Him. Just talk to God. God wants to hear from us. If not, He would have told us not to pray. He'd be like, I already know, I'm a mind reader. Do your thing. But God doesn't tell us to do that at all. So, in fact, He does something totally different. So, it's funny, I just had a thought. I have a green screen. I should set up my green screen right here in my garage, and then do a sermon preach thing. Maybe I'll set that up. I don't know if I could use the green screen on this. This is kind of not new technology for me. I know how to do a video, but I haven't done video editing and all other cool stuff because I just I have 4 kids, so I don't have time. And in fact, I'm surprised that they're not knocking on the door already. So guys, it's been great. It's been fun. If you guys have any questions, comments, prayer requests, any of that stuff, please post them in the chat. Please like and subscribe as always, and I will see you guys later. If not here, I'll see you on the other side. Thanks.